Namaskar and welcome to the exciting episode of Sattology, Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Sattology, when you refer to your own culture as Sattology, to the Western audience, to the Sanskrit connected audience, you can always say Itihas, and uh, which actually happened Itihas, or you can always say Sanatan Dharma, Puranic, which is also considered factual. And but for the Western audience, because the English words are prominent there, so mythology is a term which is set to undermine the native cultures, history of native cultures, as something unverifiable. Just like they call it Greek mythology, now they've started calling Hindu mythology. And please, Hindus at least should not use the word mythology. I've proved in my four books, and there are many authors, including Rupa Bhaty and other who is on the show today, and Nilesh Oak and other authors have proved it from their own books also. It is not mythology, it's a factual. Without delay, let us welcome Shri Rupa Bhaty.
Namaste Aditya ji. After a
Namaste.
long
Namaste.
time again.
Now you're looking fresh and looks like all the problem clouds have gone away. So you're looking happy.
Slightly they're going away. Yes. It will take some time, but yes.
That's what Krishna says, Matras Prashastu Kaunteya, Sitoshna Sukhadukkha. Like they come and go, they come and go. You have to just stay constant in what we're doing, seva. So Rupaji, one of the things I really, and people like you and me don't feel anything, and it's not because we are away or we are comfortable or anything. It's just that we are too involved in our shastric studies and our seva, so we do not get to see too much political news or something like that. Because if I go by the WhatsApp groups, then probably I will not be able to live my life. I'll be so worried. And one of the things is like, if you want to protect your culture, the best way to connect is through increase the education. Education is the number one way. Like one example is there when the Islamic attacks, I will say not invasion, attacks were were like at the top during the 17th century, 16th century and 17th century. Then Tulsidas compiled Ramcharitmanas just so that lift the morale of people in presenting Sri Ram's virtues. He presented Valmiki Ramayana in a very bhakti way, but and that's how he increased the education of Ramayana, which is continuing till date. And gradually now people are shifting back to Valmiki Ramayana because now the conditions are much more favorable, where they can cover the historicity and other things which are more in Valmiki Ramayana. Now, in today's world, also we need a similar type of education movement. Like I'm writing books. There are many other people writing books on Mahabharata history, covering different aspects of Mahabharata history. Uh, I would not mention some fake artists also on Mahabharata, which are presenting because they try to minimize the historical relevance of Mahabharata. Now, what is your view on this? But when we shout out all the time that Hindus are in danger, which they are not, but they, uh, based on political incidents, but then the rest of the people become so weak that they easily convert to other faiths, and most of the other faiths gain followers because they have spread this information that Hindu is about to vanish. You know? So, what do you have to say to such kind of bad propaganda?
Uh, I, I, I can only say that uh, we definitely are shrinking. Uh, as being a Hindu, I understand that much of conversions are going on. बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. But there are factors behind that. The first thing that we have already been made aloof from our own dharma, discipline of life. So when the discipline of life goes away, like the morning evolutions and everything is like messed up. Then morning pujas and whatever the way of life we used to have probably 100 years ago, we are completely now aloof from that. And that discipline has gone. So in that discipline, it was yam, niyam, and yoga, mm, the exercises, then studies. Everything was meticulously uh, was given in the discipline of life. So it was like a routine flow, which used to bound yourself with certain activities, uh, restraining yourself from other things, something like chitta vritti nirodha. So our fundamental was like a very disciplined life, this everyday studies, everyday um, the things used to be in a very disciplined manner. What humans like is, um, they definitely like to live a free life, uh, but at some point of time, uh, there comes the athato dharma jitnasa. What after this? After learning architecture, after doing B Arch, then M Arch, then PhD, then whatever, then you become professor, and you do certain activities every day. But then also there is always a jignasa about the life, what next, and about the death, what next after the death, and all those things are were being taught to us. No? Even the reincarnation things are given in Rig Veda. Why reincarnation? Because again, due to the precision of equinoxes, I will again bring a little astronomy here. Because this discipline of life was governed by the Jyotisham. Everyday tithi, nakshatras, and everyday rituals and things like that. So human mind has always been under some kind of a discipline. Now, in today's time, today's Hindu people, they just get up and do a bit of puja and just go away, or don't do the puja. It is all not mandatory, so it is not that much required, and people have free will. And then when they see the other religion having some kind of a discipline in their life, like Christians are going into Sunday mass, Muslims are going into for namaz, Jamaica namaz, and all those things. And then since our own even the Hindus, they used to be in a very disciplined life. So when they go and see these things, that it is quite disciplined and you get some money out of that, and other factors also again join that, those factors. And in the combination of those factors, uh, one tends to change their religion. uh, I think human uh, human being always want to be in a certain kind of a discipline, which used to be in Hinduism also. What we have lost is the gurukuls attached to the temples, and since they were attached to the temples, people used to go to the temples, and then children used to go to the gurukuls, and everything was attached in that perspective. The same thing was taken up by the Christians, because every church will have then the schools. Even when I was studying in two of the missionary schools, they were having the church inside the campus itself. Something like even in Muslims, they till to this day they carry the same ethos of like having the madrasa attached um, to the masjid. So, but now we are bereft of that. Now, we Hindus now don't carry those ethos or those characters or those innate things which had been coming to us, humans. I would say humans, not Hindus, from thousands and thousands of years. So that discipline of life, the philosophy of life, and and uh, the enthusiasm about learning something, and Rigveda is completely a Vignan Bhashya. So it was not a kind of religion. It was kind of discipline in which you were learning so many factors of science. The physics is there, the chemistry is there, and everything is there. So what I think is, because we are away from this kind of a discipline of life, we as a human being, because it is in our DNA to be under some kind of a discipline, uh, our people want to go into those pockets where they try to find the discipline. This is my kind of understanding why people are attracted to other religion. So one thing what we can do is we need to understand our Hindu culture, and we need to understand what we have lost. We should gather the whole process, and then if we are able to apply into that, um, not like a missionary school, but like a simple gurukul used to have, and something like Shanti Niketan kind of environment, and where people, where the pupil will be very near to the nature, and from there they can learn much more better philosophies of life and better science of life. uh, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं ये जो डिसिप्लिन जो वर्ड है, that is something which is very deep rooted inside us, and from subconscious mind we are tending towards those, those pockets where we find the discipline, and that is why this kind of conversion is going on. Many people don't know about the things and they get converted like tribes, basically the Bastar people, and I've seen so many tribal people getting converted, and I don't see any harm in being getting converted until you become a kind of fanatic. So just to feel that your religion is good and the other is bad, that is not the kind of democracy. And somewhere the fear about Hindus getting, yes, there is the kind of fear. I too have that kind of a fear that yes, Hindus are definitely reducing, and the only one factor which I can understand is this, the discipline of life and the foundation of your physical being with a kind of entity, which I think most of the Hindus are losing it. Probably. So, what do you say? Because my kind of understanding is very different from the entire, group of people who are into this. But I think there are factors which need to be relooked into. Kind of, what is dharma actually? The dharma is not religion in Hinduism. It is a way of life, a discipline, and that makes you a complete human being with science. We Hindus were completely, our foundation was science. So Rigveda is the foundation, and Rigveda itself is a Vignan Bhashya. So it has all kind of knowledge, all kind of layers of knowledge is there.
Before Arjun fought the Mahabharat war, which was the most important war in Arjun's personal life. But Arjun had fought much bigger wars before Mahabharata war, much bigger wars. For Devraj Indra, he fought, and it's in my book Pandavas. And but for Arjun became weakest during the Mahabharata war, not in the earlier wars. Earlier wars, he was disaffected, like he was fighting for a not his personal attachment. He was very strong. But in the Mahabharata war, he was fighting for his own survival because Maharaj Yudhishthir's honor was at stake, which was Maharaj Yudhishthir's honor is the same as Arjun's honor. So Krishna spoke Gita purposely and the beautifully summarized the entire Vedic knowledge in few hundred shlokas, 745 total. 700 are available, but 745 is the total number of shloka he spoke uh, according to Vaishampayan. So the my thing is that when you read Gita, or it gives you enough knowledge to, or the reasons why it is important to stay connected to Sanatan Dharma and not change your mindset to any other faith, because that's why he says Sar Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. He says, surrender to me, shelter, take. When Krishna says shelter to me, is shelter to Vedic knowledge, shelter to whatever represents him. And and that is what is lacking today, because the successive education systems in India, like I was hearing some discussions by the so-called Hindus, or Sanatani Yodha, or sometimes some people refer to themselves as political Hindu. They most of them do not agree on Gita. They say that Gita is not essential. And that was the biggest shocking thing for me, because being a student of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, and nowadays, because of your inspiration, others' inspiration, Veda also now, I'm discovering that information is pretty much the same in all the Vedic scriptures. So the point is, as Hindus were made to move away from them, and gradually they were weakened in their resolve to defend, like you said, dharma. Dharma means a logical thing, intrinsic value, or something. It is called truth, or compulsory duty. It's absolute truth or compulsory duty. So they were made away, and that's what we want to do in Sattology. Bring them back to the topics of dharma, like which you are going to present now, so that the people know there is a much more richness over here. There is that richness is not there anywhere else they can experience, because others in other faith-based cultures, or belief-based cultures, there the problem is that there is no science. They have kept science outside, because then the belief will be questioned. So if you want to become a scientist, then you have to abandon those faiths. You have to abandon Islamism, Christianism, Judaism. Then you become a scientist. But in Sanatan Dharma, is based on science. So you become a scientist when you join Sanatan Dharma. Even a small scientist doesn't mean somebody has to give you a PhD or something. Scientist just means a scientific bent of mind, which is a observational, experiential, and that kind of mindset, which is a part of the Yoga Sutra. Everything is, Vikriti, like there are Vichar, the very concept Patanjali mentions over there. Observing your physical body, then subtle body, and then you start negating, halting those vritti. Very scientific process. So therefore, it is. I think you can start your presentation, and but the point is that this is science. This is Sanatan Dharma is not something which you just believe. It's observational science. And like you look at the stars and you can find out the historicity, it requires a lot of brains. But in other belief-based culture, you don't need such brains. You have to just believe it and become a sheep, and there is a shepherd for you. He's going to show you a light, and you keep moving blindly here and there, wherever the shepherd goes. If he goes into a ditch, you also go with him in the ditch. And that is considered loyalty. You know. But this is not considered here. Krishna, after telling Arjun everything, he said, Yathechasi tatha guru. Whatever you desire now, do it. So the freedom is there. And then when Arjun, after understanding the philosophy, then he became a good warrior. So some people think become a warrior first and then understand the reason why you're going to fight. It's not a good warrior, because you're going to lose. At some point, you're going to lose your moral courage also. Okay, go ahead. I can go on and on. So I'll have to stop
So
myself.
today I will be presenting like again science behind Saptarishi and pole star and how swastika came into picture.
Yes,
So in the whole world, you see so many kinds of swastikas. So today I will be discussing a little about that, and again we will converse.
correct.
Uh, so in the previous talk, if you remember, I took this as one evidence, which comes from 28,500 plus BC, where the kritikas and rikshas they come very near and they again go away, and that is how the whole of the sky was understood. In that, I had showed you how around the pole star, the polar bear, which is again Indian homeland, I would say, emphasize that the rikshas in Shatapatha Brahmana mentions that the rishis, the Saptarishis, were known as rikshas. That is the bear. And this goes, Shatapat goes back to like this incidence goes back to 3000 BC and plus. It goes back to that time. Again, I showed how the similar kind of uh, shapes of Saptarishi and Kritikas, and therefore they were getting connected with each other, and that is why a story was built up around that. And in the next session, I will be taking how this story can be deciphered. I showed this how they like there are only six mentioned as the kritikas, and then you also told me that six matrikas are mentioned in Ramayana also. So that gave me a clue that for 13,000 years it was Shad Matrika system, and then it was a Sapta Matrika system. So one matrika from this bunch of kritikas goes to the big bear. It doesn't go, but what happens is that when it comes very near to the northern celestial pole point, and it starts revolving around around that. During that time, the Arundhati is seen very minutely, because there were no pole stars during those times from 11,000 BC to 3,000 BC. So before, for that matter, they used to see the Arundhati very minutely, uh, so that they can understand the, yeah, if any pole star is available, because Arundhati is a very uh, उसका जो brightness है, that is very less. So it is with the help of naked eye, one can only see faintly can observe that. So because of that, people were more inclined to look into the Saptarishi very minutely. They were observing it very minutely, and because of that observation, they found that Arundhati was going ahead of Vashisht during from 11,000 to 4,000 BC. 4,800 BC. So these are very minute observations that our sages were doing, and that has been very beautifully explained by Sri Nileshwarji in many of the talks. In his book also, he has described it in a very minute way, and made us understand the uh, geometry of Arundhati and Vashisht also. And that one app has been created in GeoGebra by Amreshji, and one can go and play with that circles and try to understand how it works around the NCP. That is the Northern Celestial Pole Point. Uh, Going ahead, so this story was created, and again Skanda also came in, and again the chastity of Arundhati was questioned, and then Saptarishi retained her in themselves, because that was much closer to the northern celestial pole, and that is how it was revolving around. So I also showed how it was looking, it was being observed during those times, and then I also showed that at what point of time it would have been, and that was coming around like 2962 BC, and uh, this is the time when Kritikas and the Saptarishis came very close. So here you can see that Saptarishi is here, and Kritika is here, and this new story building appears here. And likewise, I also showed that it was also happening during 28,500 BC. So it is very difficult to understand whether Taittiriya Brahmana is mentioning about the 3000 BC or 28,000 BC. That we resolved with the help of the study from Taittiriya Brahmana and the evolution of Saptarishi as from Riksha, from Shatapatha Brahmana. and we solved that also because Rig Veda is a very old text. It is already, with the help of new Saraswati river civilization, we understand that it can be as old as 1 lakh 72,000 years old. Mm, there, I came up with the evidence where the seven matrikas are present during 28 nakshatra system, and to reach that, in between she has that is the kritikas had experienced the summers also and the rains also. So there is one Abrayanti verse in that area, which shows us that during the 28 nakshatra system, uh, it has experienced the summer solstice also. So because of that evidence, we could go back to 28,260 BCE that I had shown. Now, with the help of Ramayana, there again with the Saptarishi is mentioned. So we can understand that in the Brahmanas, that when the rikshas are becoming Saptarishis, it has already been mentioned in Ramayana. So Saptarishis are at least that old. Now that we can understand. But with the help of Kritikas and Saptarishis, and Kritikas being present, both of them being present in Mahabharata, shows that it is telling a story about one cycle back, not of this time, but it is telling the story of back because Abhijit is connected with that. An expulsion of Abhijit is taking place there. So we were not having 28 nakshatra system even during Ramayana and Mahabharata times. So we had 27 nakshatras, and those are mentioned in uh, the Yajurvedic text also. So there the changes started to begin. So what was the purpose? So that is what I would like to ask you. In fact, what is the purpose of kritikas and saptarishis? I have explained so many times on your talk. So there is a moral of the story, and all those things are there. But apart from that, it shows something because it is showing 28 nakshatra system. It is showing that Abhijit was getting expelled because of the matrikas. It is showing that Shadmatrika system was in Ramayana. It is showing that Shadmatrika system is in Taittiriya Brahmana also, and then Saptamatrika system is also there. So there are two types of systems already going on. And then we have in IVC seals, the Saptamatrika system appears very prominently, and then in Ellora caves also, the Saptamatrika system comes in a very prominent way. So now we are in an era of Saptamatrika system. So this is something like the whole globe, when the whole celestial globe is like turning and showing some of the stars in the vicinity of the ecliptic, and some stars are going away from the ecliptic. So it is a kind of a system which has divided the whole of the eon into two parts, and that is why the six matrikas, when they are completely away from Saptarishi, and seven matrikas when they come very close. So I have shown here that how when it comes close and it becomes, after that it becomes seven matrika system. But before that it was a six matrika system.
Can I add something here? What
Yeah,
you just, I think you asked the question rhetorically, but I took it actually. But just I want to add that because there are 7 or 8 references in Mahabharata where Vyasdev, just before the war, he explains the Shubh Muhurt of the war. And the purpose is like if you know the star positions, and we all know that when we leave the earth, and then we have to go through all these places of residence according to Vyasdev. These are the Matali also confirms it, Vyasdev confirms it, and Vashishta Muni tells that in Yoga Vashishta to Sri Ram also. So there are multiple references. So the star positions become very important. Star means residences, graha. The Western meaning of star is completely different. Self-illuminated. Western reference means star means everything like a sun, like a But in Shastra, I've mentioned these are self-illuminated places. They don't need sun for that. And so once you know these star positions, it is easy for the moksha marg for people. So they can refer to them, and that is the purpose of that's what I read many places. I'll let you continue. Yeah. So thank you.
Yes.
I,
In the philosophical sense, there are many things which we have lost. Something like Ravana Samhita, which was completely based on the nakshatra longitude systems, and the longitude remains there, but the stars, because of the proper motion, they move away from their places. Even this Saptarishi would not look like what it used to look before 50,000 years ago. But people were observing this very keenly, and because of this astronomy only, I think that mathematics also came into being, because of the circle we have at the pure value of pi, uh, and that is more accurate, which is found only in India. So it appears that the whole of this star positions, their longitudes, their latitudes, their right ascension, declination, everything was giving some kind of a pattern. So this pattern, which I'm today going to discuss, is about the swastika. So, with the help of the 27 nakshatra system and 28 nakshatra system, with the help of the 6 matrika system and 7 matrika system, कालांतर में कैसा प्रतीत होगा हमारा स्वस्तिका और पहले कैसा प्रतीत होता था, so we can understand that some kind of geometry was always involved in our minds, and because of that mathematics came. You can see the hyperbola and parabolas and everything needs maths. So every kind of entity in this universe which has some kind of a shape and size, which has some kind of visuality, it requires mathematics. So if it is round, if it is elliptical, if it has the conical shape and the slices of cone and everything, so you need mathematics at every point of time. So this mathematics was coming out of the math of geometry, geometry of the celestial globe, and with the help of different stars, they were like uh, computing, they were calculating, and because of that they went ahead with the sine and sine cos tan and all these things came up. The sine table came up in Surya Siddhanta itself, which can go back to, I think, 38 to 40,000 BC. So, what I'm trying here to make you understand is that these Saptarishis, with the help of the pole point, they make a certain kind of uh, geometry in the sky. And that geometry was important because they were showing the 4 cardinal points, and it was dividing the 6 seasons in between these 4 cardinal points. So it was very important to visualize the Saptarishi also. So when it springs up, that is the time of spring. When it is completely upright, like a question mark, then it is summer solstice, and then winters, and then Sharad, autumn, and then winters. So this was kind of a night clock. That was the seasonal clock, in fact, which was giving the 4 cardinal points. And one should go out and see the Saptarishis, how they are moving in different seasons and different period of time cycle of these uh, cardinal points. In the Shrota Sutras and Dharma Sutras, everywhere there is a mention of viewing the pole star with the Saptarishi. So this we have many a times discussed that all these are connected. So today I'm showing you how the swastika becomes. So in this process of sighting of pole star, we are going to note the uh, pattern which is created in the sky. And you can see here in our times, two of the stars of Saptarishi exactly point to the pole star. That is the polar bear, the Big Dipper, and the Small Dipper. So the Small Dipper's star is Polaris is being pointed by the two of the Saptarishis. And if you see the pattern, you will see that how it behaves. Uh, so what is happening here? Uh, it is creating a kind of sign of swastika. So it appears like it is moving clockwise. जैसे हम चक्की पीस रहे हैं, हम clockwise जो चक्की पीस रहे हैं ऐसा हो रहा है. But it doesn't happen in that form. During the springtime it appears in this way, then वो चक्की उल्टा ही घूमता है, and then it comes to the summer solstice, then when the autumnal, and then the winter times. So this is how the whole rotation takes place, and that is why our sages used to say, may these all directions be auspicious. Su asti, so swasti. So swastika came from this word of well-beingness. Now, because of these two stars which were pointing to the pole point, it appeared to be the clockwise, but it is not. It is anti-clockwise only. Since its appearance is in this way, we find that I think, let's go back a little bit. We go back to the Thuban times, and that is almost around 3000 and 4000 BC, in between of that. So during the Thuban, being a pole star, 3000 BC, the swastika will become in this form. And what is happening here? This is becoming the opposite of what swastika should have been. So it becomes like it appears like it is going kind of rotating into the reverse direction. It is already going into the reverse direction only. Uh, Even our swastikas are going into the reverse direction only. But there is a kind of pattern which is getting created. So in the upper pattern, you see that it appears like the same swastika which we use in our households. But again, when you go back to 3000 BC, you see that it has come nearer to the pole point, and now when you look at the sky during the spring times, it will be appearing in this fashion, and Arundhati will be exactly Arundhati and Vashit will be exactly opposite of that pole point. And during that time, there was no uh, much brighter pole star near here and there, and Thuban was quite clear during that time. Thuban's brightness and Arundhati's brightness are quite similar, so that one has to take into account here. And this is the swastika that will form, and this was named as Sauvastika, and it is mentioned in Britannica, in fact, and I couldn't find some more evidence about that in our Shastric texts, but I will try to find out. This is the reverse of the swastika which is being used in today's time. So it was known as Sauvastika. Now, if you go to the IVC seal, which is found in Harappa, this was found in Harappa. So you will see that the seal, which is being made and to be used as a stamp, has the just opposite swastika, which was seen during the this Thuban times. So it is a Sauvastika which was made in the seal, and you will be amazed to understand that during 1900 BCE, these sites were abandoned. So what was going on was, excuse me. So what was going on was that during this time, during 3000 BC till 2000 BC, when Saraswati has not dried completely in those areas. The Harappa were using the seal of this kind, of the swastika, not the swastika of today's time, but the impression that will get is of today's time, that is of uh, after 00 CE Common Era. You will find that this swastika will become more applicable rather than this earlier swastika. So uh, mm, even during the change of these times, they were changing the patterns also. So how I came into this conclusion that they were changing the patterns? You see that here in prehistoric stone in Iran during 7000 BC, you can see that this sign is just opposite of today's swastika, which is being made with the help of Polaris. So the Indians were much aware of what kind of symbolism has to be used at what point of time. So even I think during 00 CE or probably 500 CE, till that point of time, we were much aware of what was happening in the sky, and because of that, uh, we find that even the earlier Shrota Sutras and Griya Sutras, they are mentioning the pole star or pole point has to be seen with the help of Saptarishis. So this pattern is going till Iran. Even we used to have this pattern, but the seal is just opposite of what I've shown. So after 3000 BC, the seal should have converted into uh, the right side, something like it was when it was the Saptarishis was coming, pointing towards the Polaris. So in between Tuban and Polaris, we have almost 5000 years of gap. But these patterns show that humans were aware of the pole star and its relation with the polar bears. And that is why I can say that these rickshaw, which is mentioned in Shatapatha Brahmana, is prior to Ramayana because Ramayana mentions Saptarishi. And the Saptarishi and pole point and pole star connection was very much well known till Central Asia, and our knowledge was going till Central Asia, and beyond that till Yauna, till Greece, and we were having quite good amount of cultural exchange, not only till Greece but also till China, because China also has the two same kind of sign. Even the Southeast Asian countries, they have two types of sign, and they remember that. With our culture, because of the break of so many oral traditions, it was so much hampered that we could not continue keeping all these memories alive because of so much of harshness of the Thar region and desert things were happening and people were moving away from the places. The IBC, which was abandoned before 9000 BC, and again it and got inhabited, and again it was abandoned after 1900 CE. So there is a kind of continuous knowledge. Uh, Knowledge exchange all over the Asia. The whole Asia was involved in this understanding. So, making a swastika is not just a kind of ritual, but it was meant to remember the position of Saptarishi with respect to the pole point or pole star. So, this is a complete astronomical thing uh, which we use in a daily rituals, but we are unable to connect those dots. So this was that scientific, which became a kind of a taboo, and nowadays, like even the neo Nazis are very happy with the that sign and the tilted swastika, and people make a fuss about the swastika all around the world, why it is different, why our swastika is should be kept upper hand, and likewise. So I think uh, we should connect this with rather than more of the religious kind of thing. It is more scientific to understand, and it is a basis of astronomy. In fact, it shows how we were accurately measuring the precision of equinoxes and actual precision, and how these stories got built together. So, this is what today I wanted to present. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's been a wonderful presentation. And one of the things which comes to the Kritika, six Kritika, like I mentioned, the purpose, why the stars, understanding the, it's very important because, how do we use it for Manushya?
In my understanding, why it is very important, because I can say that our civilization is very, very old. With the help of only Kritikas, I can point it out that it is going back to 28,500 BCE. And beyond that, with the help of these more accurate astronomical observation in Surya Siddhant and all, we are going back to 38,000 BC. And in between, everything is happening in Rig Veda, things are happening, and that is also being recorded, and that is a completely different science altogether, which is employed for the Rig Veda now I'm employing the Himalayan frontal thrust. I'm employing the river conditions. I'm trying to gauge the things which are present in Rig Veda. They are not fictitious, neither they are telling some different kind of stories, but it is what it was happening. It has been mentioned there, with the help of those superficial things which we are unable to connect with, but there must have been something more than that. But what I would like to conclude is that everything is mentioned: geological conditions, geomorphological conditions of the rivers, uh, the Himalayan trust things, and everything is very clearly mentioned. And with the help of these new sciences which they have brought up, that when it was happening, we can very well understand when the Rig Veda was written, you know. And these are just the pointers, but by these pointers, people can say, "Oh, you are just creating a story about Kritikas and Saptarishis, and this can be just a bluff kind of a thing." But with the help of other sciences, you can definitely come to the conclusion that yes, it was so old. Our civilization is that old. And when one understands that our civilization is that old, it is so deeply rooted in our text, then we can understand our roots, that how much we should be grounded into uh, for the sake of science.
And,
Uh, for the sake of science, we have to be rooted with Hinduism. In fact, I feel so.
and the word Hinduism itself in the Western parlance means something imaginary. Because ism, the moment they attach ism, that means your imagination. That's why they don't use Christianism, Islamism on themselves. They use only on Hindus and Jews. Judaism, Hinduism. And also with the sciences, as sciences, modern science, observational science evolves, you will begin to go much further deeper back. Right now, you reach 38,500 years BC, but then you will go further back, keep on going back, ultimately when it matches. And that's the right approach you're using the modern science to calculate this. And you'll keep changing also, because the modern science keeps evolving new techniques and assumptions,
Yeah,
and you'll keep on going back.
nothing
Thank you.
is the last word.
Nothing is the last word, because we are from the beginning, from the first hour of Brahma, we are here. So we have to go way back to Brahma. Anyway, but we cannot go beyond one kalpa. That's impossible. Other than that, we can try to go to the first hour of Brahma. That's what you need to reach. And thank you so much, Rupaji. As usual, entertaining. For me, this is entertainment. I love it. And for others, I like to tell you, stop focusing on political news for a while. Just shut yourself off and start living your life in reality. Don't give your life to the WhatsApp artists or Telegram artists or any place. Focus on your Shastra and start looking from her eyes. And I always say Jnana Chakshu, not Netra Chakshu. Sometimes you have to hear, see the world through your ears, not through our eyes. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and do comment on the video. Let us know your feedback, and do
Thank you.
share. There is a playlist of Rupa Bhati ji on the show, and you can subscribe to that playlist and keep watching new shows which come for her, which she's exclusively speaking. I know she has a dedicated fan base, and you guys can really enjoy all her videos in one place. And also, one more announcement for many of you, that my books are now sold in Barnes and Nobles across US. So you can physically go and read the Sattology books. There are two books available right now: One Arrow, One Kill, and Pandavas, the Famous Five. And you can go and check it out over there. Thank you so much, Rupaji, and namaste,
Thank you so much.
and have a wonderful evening.
Have a good day.